Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to the Tea and Mortgage podcast, episode number 25, which is apropos because we are kicking off 2025 with your host, John Coleman.
Happy New Year to everyone. I guess 2025. It's scary when you say it like that, when you say it out loud. It doesn't seem real. My life is running away with it. So hopefully this is the year we help you all get into your new home. And hopefully we will inspire you with some good ideas our podcast today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have fun with this one, John. We started this tradition a year or two ago, and we actually do your predictions for the coming
Yeah,
year.
Lord.
Uh,
I didn't do as well last year as I did the year before, so I need to kind of get myself back on track.
You're in the hot seat, definitely. Well, see if you could redeem yourself, but we're going to ask you to not hold back and give general wishy-washy predictions. I want you to really go for it this time.
Okay, I'll call it as I believe it. No, in fairness, I was correct around the prices and the rates, but just with a little bit of I didn't nail myself to the math. I suppose last year I was a little
Yeah, you added some context, which is understandable, but you're still between the 2 years have a glowingly positive approval rate for your
yeah,
predictions, so you're doing better than others.
excellent stuff. So where will we start, my friend?
Yeah, let's start. Let's start with the easy one, which is also, I guess, easy to talk about but difficult to gauge, and that would be home prices. So, where do you think property prices will go in 2025 in Ireland?
Right. Well, this is probably isn't what everyone's going to want to hear. Okay, but I can only see them going one way, and that is up. Okay, there's two reasons for that. I'll give you some context as well. Firstly, in Dublin and in Ireland, the house prices went up by almost 10% last year. Not too shy of it, which didn't surprise me at all. Even though I might have, when I was predicting about it, I was kind of expecting it not to be quite that much, but because the rates didn't come down as quickly as as we thought. But ultimately, the supply is still like, in my opinion, basic economics is prices based on supply and demand. Obviously, and confidence will be a function of demand. But if nothing affects the confidence, and to date, COVID hasn't affected the demand. The interest rates going up by 4% hasn't affected the demand. So, and the supply is still nowhere near the levels um, required just to fill the year on year basic increase of the new people coming to the market who want to buy a home for themselves. Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't see the prices going anywhere downwards. Um, Interest rates are due to continue to fall. Again, that's discuss that in more detail, but that's what the general expectation is. So
Mhm.
uh, people obviously want interest rates to fall, but sometimes it's a case of be careful what you wish for, because if interest rates start to fall, that just increases the amount of money that the banks will lend to people, which ultimately increases people's buying power. But if their buying power is increased, but the supply hasn't gone anywhere, all it does is actually have an increase in the cost of the property. Okay, so
Mhm.
so fundamentally, the supply issue is still the greatest challenge to the prices in this economy that we're currently in. And I would I would nail it to the prices going up anywhere between 5 to 10% next year. Um,
Okay.
that will be my. I'd be pretty confident with that prediction. I hope it's not any more than that.
Yeah.
That's incredible, because there's got to be a point that's reached, Norm. Um, where is the tipping point? Where is the point
Mhm.
whereby people just go, okay, yes, the bank will give me this, but it's just not worth it. I'm not spending 500, 600,000 on a property that I just don't see that as value. So
Yeah.
you wonder, will that happen? Or is it just the desire to get on the property ladder or not to be paying rent
Or here's yeah, exactly, and that's
overtakes it
that's what I
all?
was gonna ask you about that prediction of the tipping point, because at a certain point when it's cheaper to rent and you're not locking yourself into the crazy home prices and you figure, okay, there's got to be a correction coming, so
So there's the other
something,
challenge, by the way, and again, the supply issue is the problem for both the people who are looking to buy a home, but trying to rent a home is just as difficult. So
yeah,
there's
true, true.
the cost of rent is really really high for people. So that kind of layer of, because if rates are coming down, well, it's suddenly cheaper. So I don't see I don't see the tipping point happening in the next year to 2 years, just based on the fundamentals, based on rates likely to come down. The supply is really, really weak, and the rental market, it's not a case of there's abundance of properties to rent at a much more cost-effective way of living your life, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
um, that's I would be of the view that that's the way the prices are going to go next year, you know, at somewhere between 5 to 10%.
all right. That's
Obviously, Norm, just to kind of expand on that slide, yeah, that's a very top level figure, okay? Um, Obviously within the property market, there's a number of different segments. Like there's a segment, obviously, Dublin is a market on its own. Outside Dublin is another market. But even then, within that market, there's house prices for people who are looking to buy a house between 400 and 500, 500 to 700, 700 to a million. So there's different layers of different types of markets. So they all have their own characteristics and again supply demand characteristics. So, but I don't see the prices falling on any of the individual segments within the market.
yeah,
The advice I always give people: look at where you feel you're at, and go to the property price register. That will give you a sense of what prices went for in the last couple of months in the area that you're looking for, and then maybe factor in a 5 or 10% increase on that to kind of give you a sense of what you may end up having to pay for a home. Okay,
mhm.
that's not an exact science, by the way, but it's you need to educate yourself in some shape or form as to where you stand. You know.
Sure. And so let me ask you this: you talk about those market segments, and do you predict in 2025 that the increase in prices and activity in Dublin will be hotter or outside, like second cities, smaller cities, or rural areas in Ireland as people chase affordability? Which do you
Great,
think will be, yeah,
great question. And this is where I slightly got it wrong last year because I wasn't because there happened to be a trend of people the year before looking to move outside Dublin because they couldn't afford the houses in Dublin. Um, so my view on that that may happen basically, you know, that there could still. So my instinct would be um Dublin and the commuter belt of Dublin, the likes of Kildare, Meath, Wicklow, I'm sure I'm missing Slough. They'll all kind of fall under one sort of range because price in Dublin will go up, but if anyone that feels there's not value there, they'll start looking maybe outside Dublin and they'll
a train ride away, like the metro
yeah,
area, right? Yeah.
exactly. The other cities will have a similar Cork and Galway, Limerick will have kind of similar um, characteristics because they're the hubs basically, you know. So
Mhm.
and they still have the same supply issue with and demand. The prices may not go up as much as in Dublin, okay, but there's still shortages in comparison to the demand in the big cities. As for rural, they're kind of I wouldn't even want to give a proper prediction on that because they can have their own characteristics. I am putting them in the other, like there won't be as many new properties in rural areas, so it'll be secondhand.
Yeah.
So it's all localized, you know. So ultimately, if you've got three people looking to buy the one house, well, the price is only going one way. So sort of local areas have their own kind of market characteristics, but the fundamentals of supply and demand would still suggest the prices will go up. Maybe not by as much, but still they will go up. There's the prices. I will nail my color to the mast here. Prices will not fall next year.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. And yeah, with
I
interest
say that
rates,
with
you
a lot of
mentioned that.
confidence, no, man. It's not what people I want to hear, but it's you can't ignore the stats. You can't ignore supply and demand. Now, unless something strange happens in the world. Oh God, we've experienced a lot of strange things. We had COVID, prices could went up. With
Certainly.
interest rates
Yeah.
going up by nearly 4%, prices continue to sort of go up slightly. So I'm not sure what might, and I don't even want to think what might happen, what might want to happen to to make my prediction be wrong. Because if something weird happens, well then it's the world's not in a good place. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with mortgage rates, you mentioned, a little bit about them, and of course the ECB is set to drop rates, hopefully as inflation calms down a little bit. So where do you think rates will actually end up? Let's see if you could put in a specific prediction for
Okay,
2025.
I'm going to give a specific prediction that rates will fall by another anywhere between 0.5% and 0.75% next year.
Right.
Um, it is for the people who might be on variable rates. It is for people who are locked into buying a house now at a certain price. As I said at the start, it mightn't be for the people who are, even though they think the repayments are going to be lower because the rates are lower, well, suddenly if the price is going up, it doesn't really have that impact because ultimately they're borrowing more money. So they're paying the same that they would have paid. But that's kind of a very nuanced view on it. If I had to, I would say the rates will start to come down again. Maybe I'd say they'll leave it for the first quarter. Maybe March there might be another reduction. Um, it's difficult to take a kind of a. I would say they'll come down by 0.5% next year.
Yeah.
Top at 0.75%, but that's they're not even sure themselves, and that's all. I don't. I'm not as confident around that prediction as I am around the house prices.
Gotcha. Yeah, hey, it's good to have 'em. Throw the predictions out there, and we'll see what happens. But definitely, no one's got a crystal ball, right? And a- as soon as you start assuming this is a lock and this is a certainty, is when the world goes crazy and it changes. So, all right, let's change hands here to, or let's change direction to something that's not as much financial. But what do you see for trends in houses and paint colors and kitchens and baby rooms in
Now,
2025?
Norm, you are talking to the guy who has my taste is um no that I would have no layer of expertise. You've now definitely put me on the spot. Um someone I delegate all kind of colored design thoughts, opinions to better place people than myself to make
All
those.
right, let me do it like this then, because I know your design style, which is pure bachelor. And so right now you have one fake plant as your whole design motif in your
Are you
usher.
letting in the seed
Will
go?
we see a second fake plant in 2025 in John's office? That's a prediction.
Norm, you make it happen for me. I'll delegate that to someone to go and get one. We will. I promise that there'll be two fake plants in my office next year. Okay, we
There you go.
might try and
There's a
find a
good
painting
prediction.
as well that might make it more homely. But yeah.
Whoa, now you're
So
just getting crazy. Now you're just
yeah, I
getting
don't know
crazy.
what those words came out of my mouth. I don't know. Did I really believe them? But they came out of my mouth anyway. That's for sure. So I think that the social pressure you were putting me under there, but it, where did that question come from? Anyway, with well,
I thought I'd make you very uncomfortable.
you have. I just twisted it in the chair. My God. But anyway, yeah, no, folks, anyone listening to this, do not ask me any questions on design. That's something that I think should be left to better people than me. I'll get you the money, basically. That's my role of this process. Okay.
All right, so how about something that you do have a good knowledge base about and you are interested in, like sports, for instance? Do you have any wonderful sports predictions for us in 2025?
Right. I can give you a few. Okay. Uh, Sports predictions is really where you put your. Um, my sporting hero, as you may know, is a guy called Novak Djokovic. Um, he has teamed up with, and now this is maybe alien to me, he's teamed up with a Scottish guy called Andy Murray, who's going to be his new coach, who literally was one of his greatest rivals for the last 20 years. So um, It's a really, really unusual pairing. The guy who's new coach, literally only retired 6 months ago, and they're both famous for screaming at their coaches. Right, so it'll be
Mm.
it'll be really interesting to see how the guy who's now the new coach takes it when no
It
one.
could be a volatile situation, huh?
Yeah, so but I'm going to make a prediction that, and this is where it's going to be funny because the British media don't like Novak. They're not. They wouldn't be his biggest. Um, they wouldn't trump them. They basically they don't like it. And there's a lot of reasons, but they don't like him. But Andy Murray, his new coach, was their hero. Okay, so now they've got a
Mhm.
dilemma. Their hero, who was the first British man to win the British or the Wimbledon in 77 years, which the English were very, the British were every year. Who's going to win? Will we have a British winner? And the pressure that Andy Murray was under to do it, and he ended up doing it, beating Novak in the final, right? So their hero is now coaching the guy they always want to lose. So I don't know where that will how that will play out. But I'm predicting that Novak wins Wimbledon with Andy Murray as his coach next year.
Ooh, okay,
Um,
okay.
and
That's definitely a great prediction.
I say that with more from my heart than absolute because he's now 37 years of age. There are another two new kind of kids on the block that we say are only 22 or 23 and who have now potentially just overtaken him. So is there one last sting in the bee, so to speak, And I just think Wimbledon will be his best chance of making that happen. So
Great,
that's my
great prediction.
first sporting prediction. My next big interest is Gaelic football. Obviously, I'm from Dublin, and Dublin will be my team. But they've after changing the rules in Gaelic, as in there's a number of rule changes, and it's going to probably throw the cat among the pigeons, and it's very difficult to know who'll benefit from them. Um, and Dublin have lost a couple of their key players that have retired. So I don't think Dublin will win the All Ireland next year. I'm going to put a prediction now, um, and I wouldn't mind this. Donegal is a far
Mm.
out there prediction. You might know her. Donegal is right at the top of the country,
Mhm.
always raining. But they've after bringing back one of their superstar Gaelic footballers who's retired a couple of years ago. But he's come back and he's a phenomenal footballer. So, and ironically, he was part of the committee who changed the rules. So there could
Mm.
be a story behind that. So now my last prediction, well, um, the I'm hoping this one is probably the easiest to get right and I'm hoping I'm wrong with it. My football team is Man United, who I don't even want to talk about. I'm going to predict that Liverpool win the title next year, which is it's they're well ahead at the moment. I'm bringing my best mate to see a match in Liverpool in March. So I'm predicting Liverpool win the title, and that's one a bit like last year, where the prediction I made was that Trump would win the election. I'm hoping I'm wrong about Liverpool winning the title.
Yeah, exactly. No, we remember that one. We'll leave those predictions alone this year, but I do have two more questions or predictions I'm going to ask you to make. So the first one is, what is in the cards? What's in the crystal ball for John with love and marriage and settling down in 2025?
Has my mother been talking to you, by the
Yeah, she called me before this, and she told me to ask that. She wants your new girlfriend at Sunday dinner to
Yeah,
introduce her.
no, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. That I don't think the predictions for that is no, that's off limits. You, God, you're really putting me on the spot today.
Oh, this is like more like an interrogation than it is a podcast. No,
Yeah, no. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one, but I'll keep you posted. Okay.
yeah, please do. And then the last one, we'll let you off nice and easy on this
Okay.
one. Do you think 2025 will be the year where you and I finally meet in person? What's your prediction?
100% yes, given that you're going to be in Spain and I've already committed to going and meeting you 5 years later. Absolutely, we will meet next year. And when I make commitments like that, I honor them. So, not that I feel like the commitment, it's something that absolutely want to do. We've worked brilliantly for, is it 5 or 6? Is this our 6th year now?
2020.
just
I think, when we
before
met. So
COVID came, and I remember COVID
yeah,
coming, and you offered me a discount, and within 2 weeks of COVID happening, and I said no, I don't want one. Um, and that's been the start of our brilliant. So that was 20. So we're now that all of 20, 21.
but no, it's brilliant. We worked awesome together, became great friends.
Um,
Yeah, no problem. Well, that there are the predictions. And any last little predictions you want to leave us with?
No, but I suppose just on a serious note for people who are looking to buy a home in 2025, my mantra is education, education, education. Basically,
Yeah.
whether it be through me or through anyone else, get a proper understanding as to what you can do with the banks, because that will save you so much time, so much heartache, and that's the starting point of buying a home for yourself, is getting the roadmap that I promote a lot, but getting that understanding. Getting an understanding is, can I do something? What can I do with where I'm at right now? Do I try to do that, or do I wait till circumstances get to the point where I can achieve what I want? And that's by educating yourself with that information. That's ultimately how you can decide, well, what do you do? Do you move forward now, or do you wait? And that's the starting point for anyone, basically.
Awesome. Yeah. And so there's our predictions for 2025. I predict also it's going to be a wonderful year for Key and Mortgage Podcast, JC Mortgages, and of course all your clients and followers and friends. And John, thanks for those predictions. We'll see a year from now if we could poke holes in them and see how you did, huh?
100% we'll be poking holes in them. Okay, that's for sure. But
There it is, TN Mortgage episode number 25 to kick off 2025. Thank you everyone for listening and your support.